Welcome to the Explainer. We're all about digging into big ideas straight from the source.
Okay, let's start with something I bet we've all felt. You know that feeling when you just wish your city was, I don't know, quieter, cleaner, just a bit more considerate?
What if I told you that an ancient legal tradition has a blueprint for exactly that? A really sophisticated framework for solving these exact problems, and it's been around for centuries.
So, how does this all work? Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to look at what this blueprint is, break down the idea of harm, then benefit, see how they're balanced, and finally, bring it all back to today.
First up, let's get to the heart of it. We've got to understand the one core idea that this entire approach to building communities is built on.
Just let that sink in for a second. Preventing harm takes precedence over gaining benefit. I mean, in a world that's so often about pushing forward, about profit, this just flips the whole script. The idea here, drawn from the Quran and the Sunnah, is that making sure people are okay is more important than any one person's individual gain. And that idea didn't just stay on the page. It literally shaped how they built their cities.
Okay, but if you're going to prevent harm, you first have to agree on what harm actually is. So, let's break down this first key concept, dire more.
So in this legal framework, harm isn't just, a bad vibe or something you don't like. It's specific. It's a tangible negative impact that comes from all the different things happening in a busy city.
And the jurists got really specific about it. They boiled it down to 3 main types of harm that city planners absolutely had to get a handle on to make sure life was decent for everyone.
Take smoke, for example. They were really smart about this. It wasn't just all smoke is bad. They made a clear distinction between, say, the smoke coming from your kitchen oven, which is necessary, and the industrial smoke from a smelter. Those kinds of facilities, they were zoned to the edge of the city, and planners even had to think about which way the wind was blowing to protect people.
And what about foul odors? This is fascinating. If your leather tannery was making the neighborhood stink, a complaint from your neighbors was enough to get you moved. The logic was pretty simple. If the strong smell of garlic was discouraged in a place of worship, then a constant nasty stench was definitely not okay where people lived.
And then there's noise and vibration. This example is perfect. A judge didn't just listen to a complaint about a noisy gate. He actually investigated and found that the gate's movement was causing the neighbor's wall to vibrate. That's direct physical damage. It shows how focused they were on tangible impact, not just feelings.
Now this is crucial. They also created a hierarchy of harm. You have private harm affecting one person and public harm affecting the whole community. And the rule was clear. Protecting the whole community always came first, even if it meant one person had to deal with the smaller private harm.
But, this whole philosophy wasn't just about stopping bad things from happening. It was also about actively trying to create good. So let's flip the coin and look at the concept of public benefit, or manfa.
Right, so when they talked about benefit, they weren't just talking about making money. That's a huge point. For them, a benefit was anything that helped create an environment where people could actually live well and thrive.
And they had a clear vision of what thriving meant. It was all about protecting these 5 essentials: faith, life, intellect, family, and property. These were seen as the absolute pillars of a healthy society, and urban planning had a direct role to play in protecting every single one of them.
This led to a really practical 3-tiered system of priorities. First, you take care of the absolute necessities, those 5 essentials we just talked about. Then, you address the needs, things that make life less difficult. And only after that do you get to the improvements, the things that are nice to have and raise the quality of life. It's a very logical, needs-first approach.
Okay, so we have preventing harm on one side and promoting benefit on the other. Now let's see how they brought these 2 powerful ideas together in a kind of golden rule for planning.
And here it is. This is the heart of the whole thing. Preventing harm takes precedence over gaining benefit. It's a simple idea, but it's incredibly profound. Basically, your right to do something for your own benefit ends right where it starts to cause harm to other people.
And this wasn't some minor guideline. It comes from a famous prophetic saying, La darara wa la dirar, which means do not inflict or reciprocate harm. This is considered one of the 5 major pillars of Islamic law, and you can see its fingerprints all over their approach to urban development.
And again, this wasn't just some abstract philosophical idea. It came with a super practical set of rules for when things got messy. Like, you prevent public harm even if it causes a private one. Or if you have to choose between 2 bad options, you pick the lesser harm. It's a real-world toolkit for making tough decisions.
All right, so this is all really interesting history, but so what?
Why should any of this ancient legal thinking matter to us living in our crazy modern cities today?
Well, think about it. From the old souks to our modern skylines, the fundamental challenge hasn't changed one bit. How do we all live together without driving each other crazy? When we argue about zoning laws for a new factory, or debate noise ordinances for late-night bars, or pass environmental regulations, we are asking the exact same questions these jurists were tackling centuries ago. We're trying to balance someone's benefit against a potential harm to the community.
So, this ancient framework, it doesn't give us any easy answers. But what it does give us is an incredibly powerful question. It forces us to ask, in our own cities today, what harm are we accepting for the sake of benefit? So, the next time you're out and about, look around your community and ask yourself that. What harm are we all tolerating, and for whose benefit? Thinking about that might just be the first step toward building cities that are a little bit quieter, a little bit cleaner, and a whole lot more considerate.